Jim?
Energy efficiency.
And energy efficiency, yes. Okay, the grade 6 lighting, I think that we actually have hard numbers for doing more rooms at the middle school for the pods.
Dick, are we gonna do the 5-year plan, or?
Yeah, that's a separate one.
Okay.
That's a lease. That'll be at the next board meeting.
Okay.
So I've been working on some of these things for a while, Travis, so I'll just speak to that too. So last summer, we conducted a major lighting update for grades 7 and 8, and 6th grade is still, like, there's a section of rooms that are not done. And right now, either the lights are on or they're off. So that's why we had so many residential lights in that section of the building. So it's kind of a symptom of what was happening as far as the lack of flexibility in the classrooms. So in order to support the fact that we've got our devices and more, try to get more zone lighting so that they can be dimmable, we have one last round of classrooms, and we identified the ID room, so that would be the intellectual disability space, so the lighting is more sensitive to the needs. That room may change location, but we're still going to make sure that we have this scope done in the summer of 2019. This is actually majorly down. They've come up with more energy efficient ways to do this. It's a big deal because the building is not wired to have the zone lighting and dimmable lighting. So when we did the walkthrough on that Friday, we had a chance to talk to one of the middle school teachers, and it was like having an advertisement for this. She's like, absolutely, this is great, you know. And then we talked about the next thing was to talk about closing up grade 7 and 8 with some flexible glass. It's actually doors that have frosted glass where the light from outside will still come in, because when you're in those rooms, those are interior rooms with no windows. So by having some doors that close off, we can still open them up and we can have a shared classroom. When they're closed, those doors are actually marker boards. So they're a wall for providing direct instruction and examples for our students. The staff can do that. The students can do it too. And those are the only 2 openings left at the middle school. So we actually came in and we sealed up some of the openings over spring break, put the drywall right back up again, and the wallpaper looks amazing. You never know when you open them up. And we learned. So our goal is to have flexibility, not forced openings. So the goal is to fill these back in. We actually have 2 different types of doors. We've consulted with the staff. So we're going to try out 2 options that are designed specifically for these spaces, and they do not have a threshold on the floor. So they're just nice and safe. So our goal would be to continue to expand this year after year, to provide that flexibility between classrooms and to get that natural light in. But you can't actually see in between the rooms when they're closed. So we're excited about that solution there. The sensory room, last year we supported the installation of a sensory room at Parkview. It's a popular place, love to do a sensory room, or it's about, it's a mindful place, quiet place, calming down, and it can be an excitable place too, getting your energy out. So it's for both of those. And so it's an active space and a quiet space, depending on the student needs. And it is not a special education only space. It's all students able to benefit from that space.
What do you want to do differently?
We want to get the equipment actually at the middle school and do a little bit of light renovation of the space. So right now, we have some limited OT resources, but I would never call that a sensory space. So Parkview would be a great model to look at and see what we've been able to accomplish there. So at our K-2 environment, we have a great model, and then at our middle school for 3A, with more students, we have fewer resources. So we learned, we did some good things we're happy with, so we'd like to bring that forward to the middle school. And then blinds for pods for the middle school. We added windows into the pods so that they're transparent where you can see in. Well, in the event of emergency, our students go into those rooms for lockdown. We don't want them to see them in there, so we need to put some blinds. So very modest. Travis will help to do that as far as our local staff would do that. And then we'd like to keep moving with the LVT, the tile the BCT, whatever acronym you want to use. We'd like to start putting vinyl tile in classrooms that are very low maintenance. Right now, it's just pretty much soap and water to wash the floors. And the carpet there is 23 years old, and just some of it needs to go. So we're budgeting to do a classroom. If we could get 2 classrooms, great, but we'd like to keep chipping away. Ideally, we'd like to get the library done, but that's a pretty large space. That right now is roll carpet, and we'd like to avoid putting in roll carpet in the future. The solution we've had at the high school, everything are the squares, carpet squares. So if it's damaged, pop it out, put on a new one, and our crew can do that actually too. So that's where we're at as far as the scope. There are some other items that are listed. We were looking at getting quotes for those. We did get a presentation here at board level. It's a big fundraiser going on for playground equipment. You know, ideally, putting funds into Fund 46, we would get credit for spending the money, and it would start to grow so that we could start to purchase the bigger items. I asked them, what about taking a loan? Right, well, we already started that though, so we could put it in and take it out. I asked the committee, what about taking out a loan? And they said, strategically, please don't do that. We're working on fundraising. Actually, we believe we have a lot of partnerships that can support it. So you just look at funding something like Fund 46 for 10 years, 15 years down the road to repair it, so we don't have to do the fundraising would be the way to go. So,
If we get a negative budget, can we put money in that?
sure. You could designate $500,000, you still have a big negative budget, but you could do that. No. All right, Travis, I worked so closely with the middle school, I jumped in.
Okay, so then at Parkview, some things we're looking at there, new soffit fascia around the perimeter where there's some serious need. Some of the fascia is getting ready to fall off of the building, so we've got to do some repairs there. Also the awning in the back, that needs to be taken down. So we'll need to do that as well. We need some sound system for Parkview in the gym for an upgrade. So we'll be getting quotes for that as well. Sealing the blacktop, that's in a regular rotation, so we'll get quotes put together for that as well. And new, let's see, classroom rugs, we've got the numbers for those. New hallway flooring, there again, we're gonna be wanting to carry the LTV throughout that school to reduce the maintenance.
Here's one thing, me and Jim, we're the old timers, it looked good to us, yeah.
They cleaned it, you know what, was it last summer, 2 summers ago? Or last summer?
Our floor?
Yeah.
We cleaned our floors at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Hadn't cleaned
There's a
them.
major waxing I thought, 2 summers ago.
Yeah,
Because we didn't do it last summer.
Strip and wax,
Yeah.
we just polish
Then we
over
waxed it.
It made a big difference, so summer 2017. So, yeah.
You could hold off on that one maybe a year. Is that- It ain't, you know, popping up or nothing, it's
Right.
just old.
So we didn't put a dollar amount there
Okay.
yet,
Yeah.
because our goal would be, right now, the front of the school, that scope was never included in the referendum. The whole entire time has been a concept, and so we'd like to reserve funds to address that. We think that that is a sense of need as far as level of need more than the floor, so we agree with that. In the meantime, it's nice, like literally this list, when we brainstormed a few years ago, was this gigantic list. We can come up with more, right? But in the meantime, I think one of the things that we're gonna start doing is bringing forward some of the deferred capital maintenance things that didn't get included in the referendum, so that's gonna come. And a lot of this stuff is it's instructional, it's safety related, it's needed based upon the age of the building. Some is cosmetic, for sure. You look good, feel good, matters. So, but we think that it's a very streamlined, prioritized list. We wanted to bring it to you tonight. The B&G committee saw something very similar to this. We actually have some real dollars in here. That would be the change from when we met. We got quotes in for these. So Travis is still working on those. So the goal is that this gets presented at the next board meeting for a green light so that we can start coordinating some of the work. The one thing that's not here is we're looking at a lease agreement that by changing the lights out at Parkview and moving everything to LED, you can lease the bulbs but it's like a 5-year piece, and then the energy efficiency savings from that actually pay for it. So then after that, you've got full realization of your savings, and the whole project gets done, and there's no, it's a budget neutral to Mayville School District, so.
But that don't include dimmers though, do
No, if the light is dimmable, they can be dimmed,
they?
right?
But I mean.
But we're not doing that kind, no,
Oh, you're not.
no, that's not a part of the lease, that's a electrical
But would we
update.
do that? Would we do it?
No, they have different needs though, because they have windows all throughout the building. I don't hear as much coming from Parkview about the need.
This is that part.
Yeah, this is Parkview. So at the middle school, we could continue to do that, but right now, as far as like at 3rd grade, they just don't spend as much time using the different devices, what it comes down to. So, and you don't see as much residential lighting in those zones. So to me, it's kind of responding to,
For energy efficiency, doesn't that, where you can do a different levy?
that
Doesn't
possibly is
re-
coming back.
Okay.
Okay, that was nixed.
It was
Now,
next, so
I've heard it might be coming back
I was
again.
wondering what the ROI would be or something like.
So, yeah, you have, well, that, okay, but that, an energy efficiency exemption requires performance contracting.
Correct.
And performance contracting has that ROI. That lease is like a performance contract.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
That's really
to see
what it
that
comes down
ROI.
But you gotta buy an engineer, you gotta prove.
For that.
For
There
that.
are costs that come along with that.
Well,
absolutely.
usually when they come out and say you do this is what your ROI is for that.
For sure. Sometimes performance contracting can be absolutely the right thing to do. And sometimes performance contracting can have a lot of buried fees in it.
And you said the state got rid of.
That energy efficiency exemption.
Yeah, okay.
So, because some people were
Abusing it.
misusing it, is the deal. So I have used it in prior school districts very systemically in order to do some HVAC updates that were
Okay.
majorly needed. So some people were trying to use it for a gym. You know, like, no, that doesn't fly. And so little pockets of that ended up turning into a statewide discussion, and then the whole thing just
Where
went.
did we hear that might be coming back?
In the most recent, in a budget update that came out of at the state level, they're entertaining it, coming back. So I read that in like a WSB report. So, but I don't know, and you can't, right now you can't count on it.
Well, sure.
So we'll see. This recent budget piece that showed all the things that got pulled out of the budget, you know, that the governor's budget, things that he recommended. But our budget is built very conservatively. We're counting on that extra aid regarding special education, and then the $200 a student being built into the model. So if it's outside of the model, that's a good thing for us, but we're not counting on that. That's not something that's been presented. So Travis is gonna come back at the next board meeting, and if anything needs a quote, we'll have those ready to roll. But this is more about just seeing the big picture. On the page, we're doing okay, any guidance? We shared this with B&G committee, they gave us a thumbs up. So we just wanna keep moving ahead. Okay?
Any other questions for Travis? Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't go away mad, we're getting your laser on it.
Yeah, stick around.
Thank you.
Okay, moving down to board reorganization. We have resolution 1819203, determination of board meetings. The first and/or third Monday of the month at 6 PM in the administrative building.
So,
Motion by Joe,
second?
second by Jim. Any questions on this resolution for our board meeting determination? Joe?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Motion carried 6-0-1. Resolution 1819204, determination or designation of school district newspaper. Dodge County Pioneer. Motion by Nor,
Second.
second by Joe. Any questions on this resolution for the school district newspaper?
We just, always have just done the one, as a citizen, I don't know, citizen and Fond du Lac Reporter cover our district, I don't know.
Very few people have the power people.
Yeah.
he would answer it. Well, then you get double the expense.
Yeah, true.
I think
Yeah,
this is
if
where the
if
real
those
traction
others
is.
aren't providing good coverage, that I don't know.
If anything, what's happened is a lot of the notices and things, they've repealed what we have to put out there. So I would say, like, putting in the Pioneers definitely the way to go. And the traction is going towards going to websites, getting things posted on websites.
Right now, the newspapers are fighting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Any other questions? Nor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 601. Resolution 1819205, designation of official depository for investment of non-referendum funds. Listed as TSB Bank, BMO Harris, Mayville Savings Bank, National Exchange Bank, and Local Government Investment Pool.
So moved.
Motion by Dick,
I'll second.
second by Jim. Any questions on this resolution for designation of official depository? Dick?
Aye.
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 Motion carried 601. Resolution 1819206, appointment of school district attorneys. Madden Law Group, SC Edgerton, St. Peter, Petak, and Rosenfeld, Godfrey and Kahn, Davis and Kilthau, Samandel and Murray, Strang, Peterson, Brenning, Lewis and Stacy, Quarles and Brady, and WASB Legal Services. Motion by Nord.
I'll second.
Second by Dave. Any questions on this list of?
Do we actually use all these lawyers?
I was just gonna share, so I think it's about having the flexibility. Right now, we have used Madden Law Group for some smaller things. We just actually, we've used St. Peter, and St. Peter, actually, the term for that group has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then Davis and Kielfeld, that's more of the special education support there. And then Quarles and Brady is related to the school finance, the bonds and that kind of stuff, but WSB. So I would say in order of how our services are used, WSB, then it would be St. Peter's law offices, and then the Madden Group. I actually got to move up WSB, Davis and Kielfeld based upon special education needs. That would be St. Peter, and then the Madden Group. So the others are there, but they do have specialty areas that are, in the event we need it, I don't have a problem having those names on there, because you see the bills and you see where the expenses go.
Any other questions on this resolution for attorneys? Nor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 601.
I just noticed the other day, I drove down Main Street and didn't have Vanderloop underneath this.
Vanderloop is no longer.
You've got two new ones come in.
That way they're called a group.
Patrick is no longer with them. Resolution 1819207, appointment of school district auditor. Erickson and Associates. Motion by Nora,
Second.
second by Joe.
What year are we with this one?
I was just, Ryan's out there. Ryan, is there a round of RFP coming for auditors in the future? No.
Usually every 3 years.
Well,
There actually would have been one due last year, but we did a renewal with Erickson for 1 year, and then we did another one for 1 year for this year.
so by approving this, I would say next year we should do a RFP then. Okay. Because they're new, they're actually new, I've been here 3 years. They just started when I started. So I would say
No,
that's
if you're happy with them and have no problems.
easy to work with.
Any other questions on the auditor resolution? Nora?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 601. Possible future action items?
A lot lot of hires coming up.
Any unfinished business? New business, we have resolution 1819208, approval of leave of absence for Rebecca Wally.
So moved.
Motion by Joel,
Second.
second by David. Any questions on this request? Joe?
Aye.
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 Motion carried 601. Resolution 1819209, approval of final notices of non-renewal for selected certified staff.
So moved.
Motion by Nora,
I'll second.
second by Jim.
Can you speak to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the last board meeting, when the closed session, got some background information, came out in open session and approved preliminary notices of non-renewal. By law, they had to have a certain window in between the two dates. We have met that obligation, and then at the same time that the other contracts are being approved, where I'm asking you to approve these final notices of non-renewal. One of these is based upon performance, 3 are based upon finance. And the reductions that we are looking at doing based upon our student enrollment and the state of the state for school funding. So they actually say on them, due to, let's just scroll down to one. Board of Education regrets that fiscal constraints require the non-renewal of your contract. So now, by law, the state statute requires full non-renewal of a contract, and there are 2 of these positions that are coming back actually with reduced contracts. So you'll see them at the next actual resolution for C. It'll have 2019-20 teacher contracts. But this letter just states non-renewal, and then they automatically have a teacher contract that's been issued. Everybody involved has been met with and given the opportunity to have a chance to speak to us.
Any questions on this resolution for final notices of non-renewal?
I think one of my biggest concerns is anytime we cut early education, I think that I do have major concerns with now and into the future when we take a look at our enrollment. I believe we need to have more teachers in our early education, and if we're looking at cuts,
Got it.
so.
And then none of these are, so these are.
Correct, but I'm talking in the future
Yep.
as well, making sure that
You bet.
we're looking at that, that's a major concern.
And Becky and I are monitoring the numbers at the moment, and one of the staffing, because there's transfers that were also not a part of this, right? So actual teacher assignments, so there's some opportunities for that. Now, that may be the topic where you and I would be in disagreement on it, right? Some of the transfers that may occur.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be very transparent with you and let you know what we're up to there, for sure.
Okay.
So there's no behind the closed door stuff, so you will know, and we're gonna pay attention to the numbers. So that's why it's really important for us to do that, our own third Friday count, coming up here before school's out, because that's what we're using to make the final staffing assignments. And then over summer, I mean, people could literally get a change in position in the month of, like 2 weeks before school starts. That is not at all ideal. We would love to have the conversations with staff now about the assignments that they'll be in for next school year. But people move, there are changes, and we always want our staff in the best fit for them and for our students. So, but yes, I totally understand what you're saying.
Any other discussion on this resolution? Norm?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 601. Resolution 1819210, approval of 2019, 2020 teacher contracts. Need a motion?
So,
Joel, second by
I'll second.
Dave. Okay.
Okay, so these positions, these are the current salaries of all of the staff that are working here for the 2018-19 school year. The one change would be some of our hires, like in special education, they were hired late. So then those are prorated contracts, so those are full contracts in for everybody. So these are for 192-day positions. If they have their FTEs, which means full-time equivalency using school E's, So like you'll see here, our school counselor, her position's at 50% at Parkview. That's exactly what you